We used to. There's a gentleman in my world that I've only met twice in my life, Paul Vunak. But him and Rick Faye had a very similar vibe. Rick was a student of Paul Vunak, and he really impressed me when I was a young person, 18 or 19, when I saw him in seminars. And he was a really brilliant teacher and really great at analogies and getting you to understand it from outside of a physical sense, which is also where Rick Faye excels at explaining martial arts outside of just physical things. But Paul Vunak would talk about this a lot. I'm sure this is from Guru Dan, but self-protection versus self-perfection, self-protection versus self-perfection, and then, or the better term is almost these days is self-actualization. So again, like I was going back to the ethics of a Phase 1 curriculum in a martial arts school. First and foremost, your art should be martial. Otherwise, don't call it martial art. Call it something else. Call it yoga. You know what I mean? If it's not martial, and if you can't fight with it, call it something else. It's okay. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But self-protection should be physically and scientifically sound. The principles behind it should be, if you're going to teach it as a self-protection or self-defense, it should work. And all of these basic things that I put in Phase 1, Level 1, 2, and 3, I want to test you on stuff that's fun. It's really fun to do. It's really cool stuff. It works on all these attribute sets. It makes you a better athlete, but it's got practicality to it, with the exception of maybe the wrist locking thing. But what are you going to do when your drunk uncle's drunk at a party and you're not going to deck him or knee him and elbow him? You might want to wrist lock him and stick him in a chair somewhere. So it's a nice skill set. The self-perfection is why you would do this for 10 years. Like I think Vanessa's in April is going on 9 years here now. I just saw the date pop up. 9 years. Dennis has been 14 years. It's like, if it was all about this, you wouldn't be here anymore. None of you guys would want to be here. People that are worried about this are insufferable. You don't want to be around them. They're annoying. And they burn you out with their desire to beat people up. But the self-perfection stuff is great, but you got to understand the bigger picture and the attribute set. I explained this one time in class. I drew this little arrow. So you got all these things, but this one thing, this timing thing, you suck at that, man. You suck. You got the slowest human, no timing whatsoever. But you shouldn't consider this a bad thing. This is I described it this is awesome, because now you know what to focus on. You know what I mean? It's you expose something, and you should be super excited. I'm going to work on that thing that I suck at. That's kind of a cool thing to be able to do. And that bigger picture thing, where you leave the ego and you just work on yourself slowly over time, is really important. Okay, does that make sense? So the next set, it's one of the hardest things to do, and we lose a lot of students to the sticks. I realize this, but I think that the bigger the program you get with people that are open-minded, the more fun it is to do martial art, the more you can do with it. So I'm very insistent on it, and it drives me sleepless at night to keep trying to create an art where people do everything. But I think it's worth it. So stick work is the next thing. So can you back